I used to have a twin sister. I used to live in the quiet little town of Salome, a seaside community in the middle of nowhere, with a population of around 25,000. At least, it was when we were children. My sister and I, before the current mayor was elected. It seemed like an eternity ago. The Salome of my childhood was a close-knit community where everybody knew each other. There were rich people and poor people, but most of us were somewhere in between. We made a living out of our seafood. We traded shrimp, crabs, and clams, alongside a variety of fish, with bigger communities and cities not too far away from us. We had several seafood groceries and restaurants. We were not a tourist hotbed though, not back then. We had only one crummy old inn for people traveling to farther destinations. Otherwise, nobody outside would willingly spend a night within our borders, unless they were visiting a relative or friend. It was all because of the water and its deadly unpredictability. Every so often, rain or shine, weekday or weekend, a life would be claimed by a whirlpool. It could suck in anybody, from a wandering toddler to two fishermen trying to make a living. And then, the typhoons. We were taught to swim, not because it was fun to play at the shore, but because it was too dangerous to do so. My sister Nina and I would still play on the shores when the sun was high up and classes were over, despite our parents' warnings. All of us children had the tendency to be naughty, until another death would come along, and we would shudder at the sight of the sea for several weeks before dipping our toes into it again. I was the one who always dipped first. Nina was the good, obedient one, unless she was with me. Then, giggling, we'd splash water at each other and run home dripping wet, ready to get near full. One particular afternoon, shortly after our 9th birthday, we tried sneaking into our house through the back door. Mother and father were arguing in loud voices. We seized the chance to tippy-toe upstairs to our bedroom unnoticed, but our parents caught us anyway. "Dina, Nina, I told you not to swim after classes," Mother said sharply. "We didn't swim," I said. "We just decided to wade in a little bit." Nina giggled beside me. "Go upstairs now and clean yourselves," Mother continued to scold us. My goodness, what will I do with you two? You never listen. Still giggling, Nina and I ran up the stairs together. Nina and I were best friends, despite our totally contrasting personalities. I was 12 minutes older, but she was far more mature, more goal-oriented. She wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. I didn't want to grow up. Nina excelled in school, topping all of our classes except for PE. I was the star of our volleyball team. I had average grades in the rest of my subjects, but whenever my grades started to slip, my sister would help me. Nina was the type of girl who had a few close, loyal friends, while I had a coterie of followers around me any given day. I was loud and extroverted, often scolded by teachers for forgetting my inside voice. Nina spent some of her spare time reading in the library, or volunteering to help some of the teachers look after the kindergartners. We were such a small school that we didn't have enough teachers for each grade. It was normal for some teachers to teach more than one grade. Nina was a quiet presence, sweet and gentle, well liked by adults. Meanwhile, some of my neighbors' parents considered me a sort of bad influence, even though I never forced anybody to get in trouble with me. I was just curious and thirsty for adventure. The more people who prevented me from doing something, the more I wanted to do it. That afternoon by the shore turned out to be the last, and I didn't even know it. Neither of us did. Later on, we both went downstairs to eat dinner. It was painfully silent, with Mother and Father refusing to look at each other, until our father finally broke the silence with, "Girls, we had something important to tell you." I looked at Nina, and Nina looked back at me. Mother and Father had been fighting a lot lately. There was a new mall in the capital city, with a huge grocery store, meaning that Father was earning less than he used to, and Mother was only working part-time in the local college. Last month, they had forgotten to pay the electricity bill on time. Nowadays, all they seemed to do was raise their voices at each other. At night, Nina and I would talk to each other in our beds. We promised that no matter what, we'd be together, even if we had to switch homes every now and then. "Our town is in bad shape," Father continued. "But with the new mayor, things are going to change soon." His eyes were looking into the distance, wet with what seemed like tears, but his gaze was hard and almost angry. "Though other things have to go." Mother closed her eyes and sighed deeply. "Please know that we love you both, no matter what happens," she said. "Tomorrow night, Father and I will join the town meeting with all of the adults and Salomai. Melanie will look after you." Melanie was our favorite babysitter. "You're not getting a divorce?" asked Nina. Mother and Father chuckled. "No, and hopefully we won't have to," Father told us. Before we slept, our parents kissed us. "Good night," Mother said. "Take care," Father added. They reassured us that they loved us, no matter what. Looking back, it seemed odd how they were affectionate to us all of the sudden that night. But it made complete sense. Melanie made sure that we went through no shenanigans the whole day, which Nina spent reading and studying while I played a video game. I wanted to go outside, but there was thunder alongside heavy continuous rain. Finally, right before our bedtime, our parents arrived home, their faces weary and distraught. Nina and I ran to greet them. They paid Melanie before she left. Then they looked at us. "We don't have to do this," Mother said, her voice shaking. "We could take the girls and run away." Father shook his head firmly. "They will find her no matter what we do. It's part of the deal." He turned to me. "Dina, you may go to bed. We'd like to speak to your sister." "What?" Dina asked worriedly. "Did I do something wrong?" Mother began to sob. Then she gathered herself and fixed a glare on me. "Dina, please go upstairs now." "What did we—" Then my mouth clamped shut. I had never seen my mother in such a state. I'd never seen my father so troubled. I looked apologetically at my twin before hurrying to the bedroom we shared. I think I remember hearing either my mother or father saying, "Nina, we love you, and we are so sorry." But I'm not sure if it was true or wishful thinking. The next morning, the sun was up and the sky was clear. Nina's bed was empty, but I didn't find that strange, because she would sometimes wake up early to study, even during weekends. I yawned and fixed my bed and went downstairs. Mother and Father were awake and sitting together on the long couch, his arm around her shoulder. They looked tired, empty, and helpless. Something was wrong. "Good morning," I said, more of a question than a greeting. They looked at me with weak smiles. "Good morning, Dina," Father said. Mother tried to suppress her sobbing. "Morning. Are you okay, Mommy?" I asked. "Where's Nina?" My parents looked helplessly at each other before turning to me. "Sit down, Dina," Father said, gesturing to the small couch across from them. I obeyed. "Listen carefully. You have to understand why your sister went away. She's what?" "She was chosen." Father could not look me in the eye. "It was not our choice. What the mayor says goes. He says that it will all be worth it. That our town will even see unimaginable glories. It's a huge sacrifice," Mother sobbed. "But it's for the greater good." "They wrote the names of children in this town who are between the ages of 6 and 10, Father went on. "And your sister's name was the one that was picked. She will be the hero of Salome." I was still confused. "How?" "You will know when you're old enough," Father said. "Maybe when you're 12. "Father, I don't understand. What was she picked for?" Mother let out a loud sob and ran upstairs to the room she shared with Father. Father held me closer to him and hissed, "You're going to make your mother even more upset the more you talk about your sister." "But you can't visit her. You won't be able to visit her until you're old enough. You have to trust us, Dina. Everything will be fine." He released me. "Now, the next time you ask me about your sister, you will get no response. You won't get a response from anybody else in this town either. That's part of the deal." He kept the deal. He had not uttered Nina's name that morning. I would never hear him or Mother, for that matter, say her name again. My grief was inconsumable. I tried to ask the adults in the neighborhood, but they wouldn't give me a truthful response. Worse, they would tell my parents, who would send me up to my room or ground me. I'd stay in my half-empty bedroom, watching kids run down the street through the window, their clothes and hair wet from splashing in the seawater. At night, I cried myself to sleep. School was the same. Everybody wondered where Nina was at first, until the principal told us during assembly time that Nina was picked for a scholarship to a special unnamed private boarding school, where she was being trained to find solutions for environmental problems. Most of us kids thought that was cool. I didn't. I wanted to scream at my parents for not telling me the truth sooner. Then the principal gave us an email that we could use to write to Nina. After my 10th unanswered email, I decided to cut off all contact with my twin sister. I turned 10. It was my first birthday alone, and my parents threw a big outdoor party where I enjoyed playing beach volleyball with my friends. We ate a lot of seafood, a large vanilla and strawberry cake, and different flavors of ice cream. I got my first iPhone. Then we swam, because an entire year had passed without typhoons or whirlpools. Even adults were celebrating. I realized that I didn't need my twin sister to have fun. It was great to have a birthday that you didn't have to share. Years passed, and I learned not to talk about Nina, and I began to miss her less and less. No one talked about her either, not to us children at least. I began to adjust to my new life. When I was 12, my parents sold the other bed in my room. I had more space for a PlayStation and some gym equipment. Once in a while, my parents and I would go to the city or abroad for vacation. It was not uncommon now that business in Salome was thriving. By the time I was 14, Salome had developed into an unrecognizable place. A new mall was built near our house, as well as several hotels. There were more visitors, tourist spots. Our current mayor had done the impossible, we all thought. Gone were the days of typhoons and whirlpools, as if a snap of magic had taken them all away. Maybe it was the climate change. Maybe it was whatever my sister was studying. and contributing her research to. Either way, we became even more of a tourist hotbed because of our grand, colorful festivals. Once a year, for one whole week around my birthday, Salome would celebrate the rebirth of our town with food prepared by our citizens, beauty pageants and talent competitions, and lots of prizes and games. Our mayor would begin and end each festival with a speech, and we'd all give a round of applause. I was 18 when I learned the truth. After my first semester in college, I decided to spend the term break home. I wanted to surprise my parents, and so I took a bus to the nearest stop to Salome, and then rode in a taxi the rest of the way there. It was dark and drizzling, but I wasn't worried. Typhoons never hit Salome anymore. I learned that the driver had moved in fairly recently, 5 years ago to be exact. He had a wife, a son, and a new baby daughter, whose picture he showed me from his phone when the light was red. I tried to listen patiently, although I really wanted some peace and quiet. Salome is a perfect blend of everything, he went on. There's access to good schools and lots of activities, but you'll still enjoy the peace of provincial life. It's almost a great place to raise a kid. Yes, I agreed. The mayor did such a great job, didn't he? I hope he gets elected again. The driver frowned. If he does, we're moving. My older son turns 6 soon. Oh, I said. You're planning to send him to an elementary school in the capital? He shook his head. He might be picked. You know what happens to the ones that get picked. I froze. The last one they picked was a 9-year-old girl, he said with a sigh. I never saw her myself, but you might have known her, assuming she's still alive. She's probably around your age. What do you mean, if she's still alive? He pointed out the window. It's been raining a lot lately. If she's not gone, she almost is. They'll need to pick a new one. He sighed again. That poor girl, in that basement all day and night, while the adults lined up to do what they wanted to her. Everyone but her, 18 and above, even men. Where is she? I was screaming. Where is this basement? Take me there. Take me there at once, or you'll be sorry. Before he could answer, rain started pouring in tremendous windy gusts. Thunder rumbled overhead. The first I heard in town in 9 years.